He took me out, and I stayed with him for a while. Then he'd come and get me and bring me back to his home. This went on for quite a period of time. And I got so much stronger. I got so I could dry the dishes, and I could do the dusting, and I would go out and gather the eggs, and it was so wonderful, of course, to be able to do that. And then he took me back to his home. Well, then I come back out there, and I stayed a while. And I thought the doctor had forgotten what he told me, but he hadn't. And I began to worry. And I said to this older couple, I'm going to get a job and go to work. I think the doctor's forgotten what he told me. But he didn't. In a little while, a letter came. And he told this old couple he thought it would make them happy. They'd been good to me. He said, you go take Charlotte shopping. You buy her a new suitcase, buy her another pair of shoes, and buy her some clothes. He sent the check. Folks, they took me shopping. And we bought all these things, and they let me pick them out. It was beautiful. Oh, I was happy. When the day came, many people had given me money. This old couple took it in and had it transferred over the money I could bring back to the U.S. And on this day when the doctor come for me, they made me up a big box of food. Everything was just lovely. And so he put me in a car and took me to, first a train, put me on a train. And because they treated me like I was 5 years old, and this money that these old people had for me, they had it all sewed up in the clothing I had on. And they and the doctor both warned me, and not to eat a bite of food, and don't take a drink of water, nothing. Don't taste anything anybody gives you, because if anybody found out who it was, many people would put you to death. And they knew that, so they warned me about everything. And on and on. All right, I'm put in care of somebody on that train. And then I was taken from the train and put on the boat. And I'm put in care of somebody. And I became terribly, terribly seasick, of course. All right, when we crossed the waters and got in the United States, they put me back on a train then. And I was on the train 3 days and 3 nights. And the conductor on that train, I'm under him. He's to look after me. But he was wonderful to me. He gave me so many silver dollars. He would bring me extra sandwiches. It was wonderful. No, you don't know. After you've been in the convent, you don't know how to appreciate all the things like this. And 3 days went by. I know I'm getting close to home because they're calling the name of some town. And I said to the fellow when he come to, I said, now I'm getting close home. He said, now you sit right there. I'll come in and get your suitcase for you. But my folks live out in a small rural community, just a little bitty place. And I didn't wait for that conductor. Why, bless your heart, about 20 miles from home, I was standing up there at the front of the coach waiting, and when he come through, he gave me $2 silver and he had a sandwich. He didn't scold me, of course not. All right, I had my suitcase, and the train pulled on into that little town. He took it, and the train stopped. Nobody got off but me. And so he set my suitcase down there, and I'm standing there, and he steps back up on the steps, and he's talking to me. So I'm standing down there looking up at him while he's talking to me. And he said, are you sure you know where your people live? I said, yes. I know right where my father and mother live. And on and on. All right, he called all aboard, and the train pulled out, and I turned around. When I did, there's a brand new depot. Then I'm lost. I don't know which direction to go. And I didn't know what to do then. Well, I walked in that little bitty old depot, just a little bitty one. And I walked in there, and there was a man in there. And I said, do you know my father? And I gave him Dad's name. And he said, I've known him 45 years. And he said, are you one of the older girls? And I said, yes. And he didn't ask me any more questions. And I said, do you know where my father lives? And he come out with me out here, and he said, 5 blocks down the street, right on the right-hand side. That little town had grown a little bit, see, in all those 22 years. Folk, I started down that street in my suitcase, and I went 2 blocks, but I know something's wrong, because I could see that corner down there. My dad had a 2-story frame house. I told you about it last night. There's such a beautiful brick home on that corner. And my, I was frightened. I'm not well, and I don't have too much money there. And you're scared, of course. But I thought, I'll have to go up to the door anyway, and I did. There's a knocker on the door, and I used the knocker. And there a little bitty old man come to the door, and he was so stooped in his shoulder, and his head was bald, and the little rim of hair around here was just as white. And oh my, when he opened the door, I said to him, do you know? And I told him my dad's name. Anybody by this name? I understand they live in this block. And he said, what's your name? And I didn't give him my church name. I gave him the name that my father and mother gave me. And when I said that name, That dear old man was my father standing there. I didn't know him. I didn't recognize him. He didn't know me. My father weighed 180 pounds. He has a head full of real black curly hair when I saw him last. And here he is without any hair and just as skinny as he can be. And oh, bless his heart, when he said, Hooky, that's my pet name. All right, Hooky, is it you? And of course I said, oh, Dad, is this you? And Dad pushed the door open. And I said, is Mother alive? And he evaded the question. And he brought me on in. And immediately he said, how did you get here? And he wanted to know how I got back in this country. And I tried to explain everything I could. And then he said, you come with me and I'll show you your mother. And my father took me over on this side of the house. And there's a hall comes down here. There's several bedrooms on either side. And he brought me clear down here to this back bedroom. And he said, Hooky, as long as you're home, this is your bedroom. I was very happy. But when I looked at my mother I thought was one of the most beautiful women in the world. She has a gorgeous head of natural curly hair. She dressed it in a big figure 8 up here on her head. She's a little creature, only 5 foot tall and about 106 pounds. That's the only picture I have is in my heart and mind of her. But when they took me in there, and I looked at little creature, 69 pounds, and horribly paralyzed, and they cut all that beautiful hair off because of her condition. Dad said that was my mother. I couldn't believe it. I became violently ill. Just violently ill. And I tell you right now, folks, Dad took me down, gave me this bedroom. And I laid there, and because I'm weary, went to sleep right quick. And about 2:30 in the morning, I was waking with a severe pain in my stomach. And I called my father, and the moment I called him, I said, Dad, I'm very, very sick. And my father called the nurse that was caring for my mother, sent her to the bedroom, and he told her to check, and she did. She went out and called my father, and she said, get a doctor as quick as you can. Dad went to the telephone and called our family doctor. The doctor come, of course, and he was starting to Mom's bedroom. And my father said, oh, no, it's not my wife. We have somebody back here you know. Who is that doctor? That's my godfather. He and his wife is my godfather and my godmother. They held me when I was 8 days of age, when I was christened in the Roman Catholic Church as a baby. Oh, listen, but not more than that. He delivered me in this world as a baby. And so they brought him back to this bedroom. And the nurse was there, and Dad was there. And I was lying on my back. And he told the nurse to turn me over on my stomach. And he said, if that's Hooky, I have an ugly, ugly mark on my back. And she turned me over. That mark will always be there. The doctor only recognized me by the mark, not by my face. He didn't know me. And they rushed me into a hospital that first night I got in the United States. I lay 3.5 months in the hospital here. And oh, let me tell you, Dad was good to me. My father paid all of those tremendous hospital bills. My father reimbursed a doctor in a foreign country. My father did much for those old people that took me in when I didn't have anything. And more than that, he sent a barrel of fruit from this country over to that country as long as they lived. And they haven't been dead too many years, but my dad always sent barrels of fruit over to them. It didn't grow over there. All right, so he did all of that. All right, I'm in the hospital 3.5 months here. And, of course, they operated on me again. I wasn't able to walk. And when they released me from the hospital, they brought me home in an ambulance. When they brought me in the living room, they carried me in and set me down in a big reclining chair. And, after everybody left and Dad walked over to me, he said, now, Hooky, you're just going to eat, sleep, rest, and get well. Right back on me there was the library. And he said, when we bring you out here and set you down, now you just sit there and we'll bring you a book. Anything you want to read. We're all readers in our family. And they know I read. All right. They bring me out, carry me out and set me down. And folks, they did this maybe 10 days, maybe it was 2 weeks. But something's wrong. I'm in a worse condition than I even knew myself. And I can still see what it was all about. They'd bring me out, I'd read a half a page, I can't remember one single word I read. I'd shut the book, I'd fold my hands, and I'd just sit there and look right out there in space. And then it upset me because my people were watching me. Every room and door in the house, somebody was watching me. When you're very nervous and you're in the condition I was in, it upsets you. All right, this went on. Finally, Dad couldn't stand it. And he said to the doctor, I want you to get 2 specialists, and they called 2 specialists in from a city nearby. When those specialists walked into our home, they didn't examine me. They immediately said to my father, this is a complete nervous breakdown. We'll have to put her in a sanatorium. And my father broke down and he said, oh no, you don't take her out of this home. All these years she's been away from us. You're not taking her anywhere. And I tell you, they had a battle with my father. They couldn't move me then, but they wanted to do it later. But they had to deal with him. Oh, listen, I was there for quite a while before I was able to be moved. But the day come when my father knew I couldn't stand it because of my mother in this condition, and I was getting worse by the minute. All right, so my father has a brother living 650 miles from there, and he and his wife never had any children. They live alone. And so my father told the doctors about it, and they said, you send her there. So eventually they sent me to my Uncle John's and Aunt May's. I didn't know them, see, they were strangers to me. And I had to get acquainted with them, and I built confidence in them. I learned to love them, and they were good to me. And I lived in their home for 7, 8, 9 months. They were so very, very good to me. But you see, even though I'm back in this country, I don't have a hair on my head. And those people over in the foreign country made me a little dust cap, and it had a little ruffles around here. And that's what I was wearing when they got me back here in the United States. In other words, my body's so dehydrated they couldn't get my hair to grow. And it wouldn't grow. It was just stubble sticking up all over my head. And I was ashamed of that. And so Uncle John, he and his wife would want to take me for a ride. And I'd cry and say, please don't make me go. And they'd want to take me places. I wouldn't go. I'd go to the bedroom. I just didn't. They didn't make me go. But you know, it went on and on and on. 7, 8, 9 months. Remember, they're feeding me. They're taking care of me. And they're good to me. And one day, Uncle John come home. And oh, bless his heart, he said to me, Charlotte, I want you to come and go with the neighbors with me tonight. And I know those neighbors. They've been in his home. And at first I said, oh no, Uncle John, I don't want to go. Please don't make me go. And I turned around and I started to cry, and I was going to my bedroom. I cried at everything then. And you know, something went all over me. I thought, oh, I can't hurt him like that. I turned back around and looked at Uncle John. I saw I hurt him deeply. And you know, I said, I'm so sorry, Uncle John. You just give me time and I'll go in the bedroom and I'll change my clothes and I'll go. This evening, and he took me over to the neighbors. We spent the evening and had a lovely evening. We come home and went to bed. And the next morning, Uncle John went to the office. The next evening, Uncle John come home from the office, and oh, it was a beautiful day like today. The wind was blowing a little bit, but a gorgeous day. And when he come home, he said to me, Charlotte, I left a package over to the neighbors where we were last night. It was 5 or 6 blocks down the street. He said, would you go and get it? Now, they never let me walk alone yet, because when that leg got tired, it fell out from under me. But I started off down the street. I'm so happy. He's going to let me go by myself. But I used, in my mind, I thought, now, I didn't see you take a package. I can't remember a thing about a package. But I didn't have any fear then. I didn't think about anybody wanting to harm me. And so I started off. I had not gone 2 blocks until I know something's wrong. I'm sensing danger. I don't know what it is, but I'm sensing danger. And you know, I started to go real fast. And whoever's behind me, they start to walk real fast. Now, their steps were heavy and fast. And then I ran a little way, and they moved right along. Then I slowed up, and they slowed up. Then I started to walk fast again, and they started to walk fast again. And then I couldn't stand it. I'd have whipped right around like that, and I'm looking right in the face of the 4 big strapping men dressed in civilian clothing. And one of them just reached over and grabbed a hold of my shoulder, and he said, don't you make a sound. Right over there across the street is our car. And one on either side of me, and folks, you don't know what fear is. I couldn't cry. I can't pick up my feet. I can't do anything. I'm paralyzed with fear. I'm in the hands of my enemy, and I know it. Those are 4 Roman Catholic priests dressed in civilian clothing. All right, they took me over there and opened the back door of the car. They made me get in that car. They made me lay down on the floor. They covered me up with a dirty rug, and I'm going to leave you under the dirty rug tonight. Now, I've talked for 1 hour and 35 minutes as fast as I can talk. I'm going to leave you under that dirty rug. But let me tell you, folk, I've never had a ride like that in my life. Tomorrow night I'll tell you where they took me, and I'll tell you what they done. You don't need to worry about anybody picking me up. I didn't know God then. I challenge anybody in this world to walk up here and put a hand on me. God will paralyze you in your tracks. Don't ever do it. Your God may be dead, but mine's not. Don't ever put a hand on me to do me any harm. God will paralyze you before you touch me. I tell you, I'm serving a living God. I'm in the hands of God. I'm a child of God. He's my heavenly Father. And I walk softly before Him. And I want you to know I trust Him. And He's not going to let anybody harm me until my work is finished. And then I don't care what you do with this body. You can do anything you want to, but not while God wants me to still give the testimony. And so tomorrow night we're going to tell you what they done and where they took me. And it was a terrible thing. And so we say, God bless every one of you. You've been so attentive. I appreciate it, because that's speaking a long time. And you sit very quietly, and I want you to know I appreciate it. And again, I say, God bless you until tomorrow night.